Okay, so week 8's almost over. We got Monday Night Football between Cincy and Cleveland. Packers dropped to 3-5. Raiders get their ass handed to them by the Saints. Tampa struggled on Thursday. Cowboys put a whooping on the Bears. They looked really good. The Bears, actually, though, surprisingly, their offense did look really, really good, especially against Dallas's top-tier defense. Then we got the World Series Game 3 tonight. But let's start with the Cowboys. So they jumped on the Bears really early, putting up 2 quick touchdowns in the first 7 minutes maybe. It was pretty quick. And then the Bears came back, put up a touchdown of their own. Cowboys got ahead 21. Was it 28-7 that they got up at one point, I think? Cowboys got up 28-7. Then the Bears
they scored
towards the end of the first half, put up some points, and Dak threw a pick at the end that helped them get an extra 3 points with the field goal, and then they scored another touchdown at the beginning of the second half, but then Dallas ended up pulling away. But how Dallas started off the game, what kind of your initial thoughts of how did Dak look compared to last week versus the Lions?
Look, Dak was throwing the ball like fearless. Okay, he was not scared of the Bears defense. I think if Dak took that approach to every defense he played, obviously you're not going to be able to run up and down the field against the better defenses in the league. But that kind of play calling, that kind of scheming, getting Pollard involved, obviously Pollard can do some things with the ball and help Dak out. So, was I impressed with Dak? No. I just think he did what he was supposed to do against that defense. And I think that going forward, they could take the positives from this game and apply it to other games.
And the Bears came into this game with a bottom 3 or bottom 5 rushing defense, and Dallas took advantage of that and just ran all over them. They ran for 200 yards. The Bears actually ran for more yards than the Cowboys, surprisingly. They ran for 240 yards. The Cowboys ran for 200. I thought Justin Fields looked pretty solid. He went 17-23 he only threw for like 150 yards, I think. But did he have any picks or fumbles? I'm trying to think. I know Montgomery had that one fumble. I'm trying to think. He did throw one pick that ended up getting called back from a pass interference or something. But I think I think Bears fans can take one thing from that game is that there is a little bit of hope for the Bears offense. They just have no talent around him. I think Justin Fields can ultimately be a solid starting quarterback in the league if they can just get some talent around him. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. And I'm old enough and you're old enough to remember back in the day when the Cowboys were playing the Redskins with RG3 and how he would just terrorize the Cowboys defense. So it's almost like a inherent thing with the Cowboys not being able to contain Justin Fields. Justin Fields running all over the place. 3rd and 10, everyone's locked up in the secondary, escape for a first down. So Justin Fields was, showing some signs of some vintage RG3 right there. Fields can do some things, right? He can ball, he can play, but who's his wide receiver 1? Darnell Mooney?
I don't even know. I don't even know if they have a wide receiver 1. They just have a bunch of scrubs.
Yeah, like he has no serious threats, and I'm not sure what the situation is with their backfield. Looks like they're trying to phase Montgomery out and bring Herbert in.
Every week it changes. I never understand. It seems like one week they'll give. It does seem like Herbert takes the majority of the carries, but I don't. But then they still, like, one half they'll give the majority of carries to Montgomery, and then the next half they'll give the majority of carries to Herbert. Herbert finished with like 100 yards. Montgomery had like 50 or
54, I believe.
54, okay.
Yeah.
So Herbert still gets the grunt of it, but
yeah. So there's a lot of question marks with Bears offense, but I think the last couple weeks Fields has solidified that he is at least there to stay as long as the Bears want him there. So I don't think you need to worry about Fields' performance holding back the development of the team, right? So the front office needs to go out there and just spend money on offense, not just defense, and they need to get some things going. But Fields looked good. If I'm the Cowboys or the Cowboys fans, I'm a little bit concerned. The Bears haven't scored very many points. Why were they able to do that to us? Because Justin Fields is mobile, but he's not as mobile as Lamar, right? And if you're trying to win a Super Bowl, you might have to face him or Josh Allen or Mahomes. If they get that far. So, they
do you think it's one of those things where just the offense was scoring so many points that the defense realized? First of all, I wouldn't be surprised if they came into the game because the Bears are just not a good team overall. With the exception of last week versus the Patriots, they looked horrible all year. So could it potentially just be they came into the game thinking, and the Bears probably aren't going to be that much of a problem for us, and in tandem with the offense putting up so much points that the defense kind of let off the gas a little bit and maybe weren't playing as hard or pressing as hard as they would otherwise?
Yeah, it definitely could be. And there was some times in the game where it looked like the Cowboys kind of took their foot off the gas, right? Dak Prescott got careless at the end of the first half. Mm-hmm. If the Bears put a touchdown in the last minute after the interception, then it's a one-score game going to halftime, right? Mm-hmm. So, but those are the things that championship caliber teams can't do if they're looking to win the division, especially against the Giants and the Eagles. So, yeah, it could have been some of that, but overall, I think there were a bunch of positives and a couple negatives for both teams to take away from that.
So Tony Pollard had himself a day. He had 131 yards rushing, 147 total yards from scrimmage on just 14 carries. So he didn't even touch the ball that much. And he was just running all over the Bears defense. I think pretty much all Cowboys fans, I think most, if not all of them, would agree that Pollard should be the main back ahead of Zeke. Pollard has the explosiveness. Zeke is still a power back, but even still, he doesn't break tackles really anymore. If you need like 1 or 2 yards on a very short yardage situation, yeah, you probably throw Zeke in there. But other than that, I mean, Zeke's not explosive anymore. He's not as powerful as he was. He's great for pass rushes. He's probably the best running back in the league at blocking pass rushers. But do you think this game with Pollard, how he played, that he's going to get more touches going forward? Because he probably only gets like 7 to 9 touches a game maybe in the weeks leading up to this. But with how explosive he was, do you think they will increase his touches going forward?
I actually do think they are. If Jason Garrett was still a coach, I would say no. Because, he seemed to be kind of like Jerry Jones' puppet, and they're still paying Zeke, right? But I think they're going to use Zeke's injury as an excuse to kind of limit his workload in the back half of the season and kind of put Pollard in that main role. But what I would be looking for, if I was them, I would look to have a 2 running back backfield like the Browns, right? They have Kareem and they have Chubb, and look how that just expanded their whole offense, right? Yeah. They have Brissett at the helm, and they're still putting up points. So I would look to be doing that, but yeah, I do think Pollard's going to take the most of the workload from here on out, or at least split 50-50 or 60-40.
On that fumble recovery that Micah Parsons ended up picking up and running back, because I don't know what the hell Justin Fields was doing, but he hurdled him, didn't touch him down, he ran it back. Apparently, Mike McCarthy made a comment after the game. They were asking him about it. Apparently, Micah Parsons has been wanting to get some reps on offense for a while now. Like goal line stands or something. And Mike McCarthy, when they were asking him about it, he made a comment like, yeah, he was happy for Parsons, but he's going to be annoyed now because this is just going to ignite the fire of, hey, look, I've got some maneuverability and getting able to juke some guys out and run the ball. So do you think, maybe not wanting to, but do you think they'll start putting him on goal line situations? I mean, honestly, now that I think about it, I'm surprised they don't, because he's so big, he's so powerful, he's so quick, he's just the ultimate athlete. I would think if you need a yard in a 4th and goal type of situation, that you would just put him at fullback, give him the ball, and let him basically just fucking jump over people or power everyone out of the way. I'm surprised they haven't done that. Do you think that's something that they might do in the future or no?
I could see if it's a blowout type of game, I could see them putting him in there. But I don't think they risk the health of their star defensive player to try and jump over a line. When they have Zeke, who's perfectly capable of doing that. I think that's kind of one of those things when you see athletes from other sports saying that they think they could go dominate another sport. Probably not. I think it's just the ego talking. But you never know.
So the Packers are still struggling. I went into that game not expecting them to win, but I did expect them to cover the 10.5 point spread, which they did.
Look, a friend once told me, Good teams win.
But great teams cover.
Great teams cover, all right? And Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are a great team. Potentially, moving forward, I think that they're still going to pick it up.
What do you think? What do you think the rest of the season looks like for the Packers?
I was not as disappointed with their performance as I originally thought it was going to be after the first half. I mean, they were throwing the ball against the Bills' defense, right? And some of the receivers made some good plays there near the end. Romeo Dobbs made that great catch in the back of the end zone. There's a lot of positives. I think they're a couple moves away at the trade deadline from actually being contenders. I think they're still putting way too much pressure on Aaron Rodgers to do everything. He has no O-line, and when you have no O-line, you gotta get the ball out quick. But when you have rookie receivers that are having a hard time getting open, it's hard. But the Packers are running the ball up and down the field. So if it was a closer game, they could have racked up some serious rush yardage. But
do you think a wide receiver is going to be the biggest piece of the puzzle, or do you think offensive lineman? What do you think?
I think they need one more receiver.
Okay.
Pair up with Dobbs, because Dobbs right now is acting as number one. Well, the last game because Lazard was out.
Right.
But if they can slide Lazard to the 2, Dobbs in the slot, and get someone else like Elijah Moore, who's been looking for a trade, I think that could be a big piece of the puzzle for the Packers. I'm still optimistic on them moving forward. I still am. The Vikings look very beatable. The Vikings, I'll say this, the Vikings are 6-1, but they look very beatable.
But I mean, they're 3.5 games ahead of the Packers.
2.5 after the Packers beat them next time.
Yeah. Do you think? Okay. The Packers have to win that game to have a chance to win the division.
Yeah.
I think they have to win that game. But if they don't, if the Packers lose, if the Vikings end up winning the division, I don't see how the Packers get in the playoffs. I don't.
Okay, well, let me ask you this: if the Packers don't make the playoffs, do you see Aaron Rodgers coming back next season?
Well, he did sign a 3-year deal with them, so yes.
You think?
I mean, he's not going to ask for a trade, and they wouldn't trade him. The fact that he has a 3-year contract, I mean, I don't think he would just retire. Unless the only way I think that he would retire is if their roster looks even worse next year somehow, which I don't know how that would even be possible. But if their roster is just full of like rookies or a bunch of like no-name guys, then yeah, I could potentially see him hanging it up. But even then, I really don't think. I think he'll take the money and just bite the bullet if the team's that bad. But I think the front office will do something to try to improve the roster and give him something to work with. But do you think... Let's see. Okay, how do you think Josh Allen played last night?
Wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed. I mean, he made so many like mental mistakes. Goal line interceptions, thrown back across his body interceptions.
How many picks did he have? 2?
2, potentially almost 3. Look, Josh Allen is top 3 quarterback in the league, but that is kind of what happens when the Bills start going bad. Remember last season when they started playing the Jags and I can't remember, was it the Jets? A couple like bad teams in a row where Josh Allen just wasn't playing well in the middle of the season, and then they fell off, and then they got hot towards the end of the season. That has kind of been what Josh Allen's done his whole career. He starts off hot, slides off in the middle, and then is hot at the end. So I'm looking to see if he can cut back on those mental mistakes, because he made a couple of them last night. Packers defense is good, their secondary is good, but too many mistakes.
Okay, so we're going to transition to the Carolina versus Atlanta game, which I'm surprised there were as many points put up as there was. But Carolina had multiple chances that they squandered, or I should say that their kicker squandered at the end of the game. I didn't watch any of the game. I saw a few highlights. First of all, DJ Moore, that was a dime pass to him at the end there. But like, if you take, like, you know you're going to get a penalty doing that. Like, I don't understand why these guys feel the need to celebrate like that. Especially if you're a rookie, then that's you can have a little bit of an excuse, but not really, because you know you're going to get flagged. You know the rules. If you're a guy like DJ Moore who's been in the league for a while, you know how things work. You've been there before. You can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So
and look, we were talking about this last night, right? A lot of the time, something like that happens. The kicker picks him up.
Mhm.
No one talks about it again, right? If he makes that extra point. But like you're saying, you just can't do that. You can't do that, especially when your team's struggling, right? Like that was a first place game for the division. Yeah. That's a big mistake. Which leads me to the kicker, bro. Kick the ball through the uprights. One time.
Yeah.
One time, kick it through the uprights. Little less selfies, right? We're talking about
here's
kicking selfies.
Here's how you know the guy's a douche. It's because there were video of him taking selfies, and not just selfies, tongue out selfies, walking around on the field before the game.
Was it the dog filter on Snapchat?
I don't know. And he wears earrings, bro. If you're a kicker and you're wearing earrings, like, come on, bro.
I mean, hey, do whatever you want if you're gonna make the field goal.
Yeah.
You can't be doing that
if you're not making the
field
kicks.
Goal. Yeah. I mean, come on.
So Atlanta's in first place now in that division. Okay, let's transition into this. Right now, who do you think the biggest disappointment of a team is in the NFL?
I mean, I think you have to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? I mean, you have to go with the Buccaneers. They were in the Super Bowl last year. 2 years ago, right? They were in the semis last year. They barely lost last year in, was it overtime to the Rams?
It wasn't overtime. It was just the end of
late in the game. What are you doing? Like, you can't just put the blame on the offense. Mm-hmm. The defense, which looked stellar against the Cowboys, has been non-existent. Mm-hmm. Like, mental mistakes left and right, blown coverages, and then no pressure on the quarterback from the defensive line. The first 3 weeks and then the last couple weeks, complete 180, different team. So I don't know what's going on there, but to me, looking for Brady to come back and, look for another Super Bowl, I mean, it's been a big disappointment. I can't imagine what Brady's thinking right now. Like, why the hell did I come back here?
Yeah.
And not to mention, new head coach, right? Mm. So maybe it's the coaching, but Bruce Arians, I know he's around. He's on the sideline. Mm. Maybe he needs to step in and take a larger role.
He's in the front office, is he? Or what is?
He's just been kind of a mentor.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any shot that Gronk comes back?
No, he's already retired once.
Fuck that. No, yeah. I'm not joining that. Okay.
And Brady already asked Edelman to come back.
Oh, he did?
And he said, hell no.
Was that before the season or mid-season?
I think it was before the season. Yeah.
See, I think it's a coin toss, honestly, between Tampa and the Bucks. Tampa and the Raiders.
Okay.
Because, no one saw Brady being 3-5, but I don't think anyone saw the Raiders being 2-5 or 2-6, whatever. I think they're 2-5. With Devontae Adams as their main receiver, they got Amari Cooper?
No.
Or no? Oh, he's on Cleveland.
Yeah.
Okay, who's their number 2 receiver? Renfro, is that who it is?
Yeah.
Hunter Renfro? He's but I think it's definitely Josh McDaniels.
100%.
Because every team he's gone to is just like shit the bed. They're 100%. Not. He can't. He's not a good head coach at all.
How much money are they paying Devonta?
It's a lot. I don't know.
One reception last week. One.
How many targets?
Who cares? It's one reception. Catch the ball or throw him the ball. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know how they can't get him the ball. Let's see. 5-year 140. 5-year 140.
So 140 divided by 5. That's 20. So that's 20 plus million this year.
20 a year. That's
for one catch.
That's like
for 3 yards.
27.
Put me in the game right now. I can get one catch for 3 yards.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think it's just they don't have enough of a threat wide receiver 2-wise, so they're just doubling him up and they can't get him the ball, and Derek Carr just can't get the guys a ball? What do you think is going on?
It seems
you think it's the play calling on offense?
It seems like they don't have an identity. Every week, there's something else, right? This past week, there was no offense. The week before that, they were running the ball all over the place, right? And they weren't running the ball this week. the week before that, struggling on defense, right? So there needs to be some sort of culture change or culture, like, there needs to be a unified, like, goal, right? It seems like, I'm not sure who the leader in that locker room is. I'm guessing it's Derek Carr. He seems to be a good leader. He needs to step up. I remember last year, he was talking about how he's been a Raiders fan his whole life, and he was tired of them sucking, and then he carried through the back half of the season. That sort of thing needs to happen again, because I'm not sure, it's not clear why exactly, but I think McDaniels needs to go, and I think Carr needs to step up and start slinging the ball around.
Do you think McDaniels makes it to the end of the season at this rate?
No.
Really? You think they'll hire? I don't know what they signed, what his contract is, but I mean, if they keep losing, I can't see how he makes it to the end of the year.
Yeah. They have the multi-billion-dollar stadium that they have to fill seats for.
Right.
You can't sit around and be 5-10 or 5-12.
Right.
You can't do that.
Yeah. All right. We're going to transition from football to baseball. We got the World Series Game 3 tonight. Rangers Suarez was the projected guy who was going to start Game 3 for the Phillies, but it looks like Noah Syndergaard is the guy who's going to take the mound. And then the Astros got McCullers on the mound. How do you think that matches up for both teams?
There's going to be a bunch of breaking balls tonight. Noah Syndergaard's got that sinker, slider combo, changeup. McCullers has a dirty slider, one of the best sliders in the game. I could see it being a real low-scoring game. Again, both of those guys, I know we were talking about this before, and I was talking about how you really don't want Syndergaard on the bump. But the Phillies bullpen has been stepping up. They have the day off, so I think they're looking to get Syndergaard 4 or 5 innings and then empty the tank.
I think if Syndergaard goes 5, that would be a dream scenario for Phillies. I think they're hoping to get 3 out of him. And honestly, unless he's just shoving, 4 I think is the max they'll push him. Unless he just looks like he's cooking and that he's getting through the lineup pretty easily. 4 I think is the max that they try to push from him.
Yeah.
So, McCullers. Well, now Syndergaard has thrown in the World Series before when he was with the Mets, and he won the game that he threw in 2015.
World Series.
2015.
Yep.
So it's been a while, and he's not that same pitcher. He's not the power on pitcher that he was then. He's more of a pitch to contact guy now because he doesn't have the velocity like he used to after Tommy John. But I think I think he might surprise some people just having had that experience, even though just the one game in the World Series. Just having that under his belt, I think he can. It seems like the Phillies pitching has done the opposite of what people have thought it was going to do. Their 2 aces have not thrown well and have given a bunch of runs, and then their bullpen has come in and shut it down. So if they continue that path, I feel like Syndergaard could surprise some people and even go like 6 innings and give up 2 runs or less. But I think I am worried because Altuve seems to have broken out of his horrible slump going 3 for 4 last game, and I think he's a huge factor for how the rest of the Astros lineup is going to hit. But with him breaking out of that, I think that's going to spell a lot of trouble. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the key, again, is going to be trying to limit the Astros offense early. The Phillies went down early, both games, right?
Right.
They need to score first. They need to jump. They need to put the pressure on Houston to get into their bullpen. Houston still hasn't dug deep into their bullpen.
Right.
Like, they have not had to rely on their bullpen at all. So they need to get in the Houston bullpen, right? They got 3 straight games in Philly. They need to make it tough. Even if it's, they win 1 at home, they lose 2, and they go back to Houston, they need to put some wear and tear on the arms. So I think in order for Philly to be successful in the long run, they have to put up runs early in the game. Playing hero ball late in the game isn't always a great way to win a series.
But I think the fans could actually really help Philly out because they're crazy. And it being Halloween night, they might turn it up an extra notch. So I do think as far as home field advantage goes, Phillies when they're at home gets an extra boost even compared to when Houston is at their home from their stadium. Philly fans are just so crazy that I think that it's going to rattle Houston a little bit. Even though Houston's been in big games for a while now, I think that environment is going to give the Phillies a slight edge in this game. Even though pitching wise, you would probably still give Houston the edge tonight, you think, with McCullers over Syndergaard? I honestly don't know if I would give one the edge over the other.
That's tricky. I mean, if I had to give an edge to either team, I would give the edge to Houston. Or I would give the edge to Philly because Houston, like you said, having to deal with the crowd. So, McCullers no slouch. McCullers a dog, so he hasn't really got a chance to pitch too much this season. He's been hurt the last couple of years. But, yeah, I think the Phillies have the edge tonight. I'm looking for them to put up a couple runs early, especially with the fans being so behind them. I'm looking for him to put 3 up in the first 4 or 5 innings.
Do you think Bryce is going to start going off? Because he's been kept kind of in check so far through the first 2 games. Do you think he's going to start breaking out a little bit? Or
I don't have the stats on me. What did he do last game? He had 2 hits game 1.
Did he have 2?
Yeah.
Really?
But like I was saying, they're throwing him all away. Verlander's throwing him up. If that's the one place you want to get Bryce out, you got to throw him up and away.
He hasn't really been in any big spots, though. Maybe that's why I'm thinking that.
And they're limiting the singles.
Yeah, right.
So they're keeping it off the plate. That's what you got to do. Sometimes the great hitter, you can't stop them. You just have to contain them. And that's what Houston's been doing. So if they can keep doing that, they're going to have a lot of success in the long run. As long as they can keep Schwarber from going deep. I think it's going to come out of a long ball, as it often does. But, yeah, Bryce has not been hitting for power in the last couple games.
Yeah.
He hasn't been taking power swings. They haven't been throwing him very much. So I think that's a really good game plan from Houston. I'm looking to see them keep doing that. But all it takes is one mistake in a big spot, and there it is. So, yeah, I think they've had a really good game plan.
I think, let's see, we'll get into predictions for tonight, but I've picked Philly the last 2 games. I feel like, again, that the crowd is going to help Philly. I think Syndergaard can surprise some people, but I think, again, if Philly gets behind early, again, I don't think they can keep coming back from early deficits like they did in game 1. So they need to get through the first few innings with 0 or 1 run given up.
Turn your phone off, Danny.
And they need to get on the board early. They need to stop waiting until later in the game to start getting hit. So the first time through the lineup, they need to get. I think it's key for them to at least get something on the board. But I think Syndergaard goes 4. And then I think they push it off to the bullpen. And I think Philly's bullpen keeps Houston in check. Keeps Houston relatively in check. I think they'll keep pitching well. I don't know. I wonder if they'll have Ranger Suarez come out of the bullpen today, or if they're lining him up to throw game 4. I actually don't know. Because originally they were going to have him throw tonight for game 3. But I think maybe like a 5-3 win for Philly tonight.
5-3. I like it. I was going to say 4-3 Phillies. I think they're going to get 2 in the first couple. I just don't see how they're going to cool down, especially with the fans being behind them. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a close game tonight.
All right. You got any other topics? I think that's...
Yeah, we have to... go over my new segment, right?
Oh, okay.
So, who is him? All right? Who is him tonight, Monday Night Football? Mixon or Chubb?
Cleveland's home, right? I think Chubb. Chubb's been playing really well all year. Mixon's been decent, but I think Chubb has ended up running, and the Bengals just have not played that well all year. The Browns haven't done anything spectacular either. It's 2 mediocre teams right now, but I'm going to go with Chubb tonight. I just think he's been playing better throughout the season, and having Cleveland at home, I'd give him the edge.
Okay. Well, then what about Jamar or Amari?
Well, Jamar's out.
Oh, that's right, the hip.
Jamar's
The
out.
hip. Okay, so they're looking
so
for
they're number-
Boyd and Higgins.
Boyd's their number 3, right? Was their number 3, so he's their number 2. And then
yeah,
Higgins.
I think Boyd is the more explosive playmaker than Higgins. To be honest, I think he's a
Boyd, he either gets like no catches or he gets a couple like deep ones. He never gets a lot of receptions, but he'll get a few potentially deep ones.
Okay, so then let me change that. You think the Browns receiving core or the Bengals receiving core is going to have a bigger impact tonight?
Who do I think has the bigger impact?
Yeah. What team is going to rely on the receiving core more to win this game?
The Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to rely on the receiving core more. I say that though, but they're without Jamar, so they might have. So actually, Mixon might get a bigger load tonight and have to lead them. So actually, I might change my answer to Mixon. Actually, with Jamar out, I think Mixon's going to get more touches. He's going to get more like screen passes out of the backfield. So I'm gonna flip flop. I'm gonna say Mixon is going to be the bigger factor than Chubb, because he's going to have to pick up the slack for Jamar being out. And so then I think that the Browns receiving core is going to have the bigger game, just because the Bengals, after Jamar Chase, their receivers are nothing special. So I think the Bengals need a huge game out of Mixon to get a win tonight.
You said the receivers are nothing special, but they had 3 1,000+ yard receivers last year. Do you think that's more of a credit to Burrow or the receiving core?
I think it's a credit to Burrow.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think with a guy like Jamar Chase, again, when you have an elite receiver like that, you have to double him, and then you leave the other guys one-on-one, and it leaves them more vulnerable.
Okay. All right, now moving on. Also, who is him? Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston? When Winston's healthy, who are the Saints going to turn to? Because Dalton's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Saints play a lot, but what is their record? I don't know what the Saints' record are.
Very mid. I believe they're 3-5. Are they 3-5?
Oh, they're 3-5. Okay, they're gonna bring Winston back then.
You think?
What was their record when he went out? What does Dalton have? 2 wins?
I'm not sure. The weak spot is not the offense. It's been the defense. They've been giving up way too many points.
Yeah, I mean, they shut out Oakland or Vegas, so
yeah.
I mean that could just be how horrible the Raiders are.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more of a knock.
I mean, they're 3-5. Jameis Winston, are they paying him a lot? I don't even know.
Nothing crazy.
I can't imagine. Is Winston projected to be 100% next week? When is he projected to come back?
I think it's in a couple weeks.
Okay. If it's in a couple weeks, if Dalton wins, say it's in 2 weeks and Dalton wins the next 2 games and they go to 5-5, I think they'll leave Dalton in if he looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But anything other than that, I can't imagine them leaving him out there. Because even though Jameis Winston is, I mean, he throws a lot of interceptions, but he also throws a lot of touchdowns. So and Andy Dalton has always been a career backup. So.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to a similar conversation: PJ Walker or Mayfield? Right. Baker was healthy this week, but he wasn't. He was like a healthy scratch.
Mm-hmm.
So now the Panthers were in that game with the Hail Mary, but PJ Walker really didn't do anything. Do you see them going back to Baker, or do you see
their
them
run game is what put up all the points, right?
Yeah, if the game ended the play before the Hail Mary, PJ Walker would have had 240 yards and an interception. So nothing crazy, but they were really leaning on Deonta Foreman. He had 118 yards and 3 touchdowns. So do you think that they're going to bring Baker back, or do you think that they're going to leave PJ Walker in?
I think they would leave PJ Walker in because it's kind of a lost season, and Baker Mayfield, if he's going to be there a while, like, he's going to want his money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they'd rather see what PJ Walker can give them as a young guy. Is he second year?
I believe so.
Okay, so he's under a rookie contract deal, and they don't have to pay him for the foreseeable future. So I definitely think they would leave him in there and see if they can develop him into a solid starting quarterback. Because I don't think Baker is good enough for them to want to pay him the money that he wants on a bad team like that when it's already a lost season. They're 2-6, they're last place in the division. The division is horrible. They're only 2 games back But I mean, I still don't think that they have any expectations to win the division. So I'm going to think P.J. Walker, unless he just looks awful.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're going to try to develop him. Kind of a situation like the Colts. They're benching Matt Ryan, bringing Ellinger in, seeing if they can develop him. Same type of situation.
All right, now shifting gears back to baseball. Bryce or Jordan? Who do you think is going to have a bigger impact tonight?
I think Bryce. I think first home game in your first World Series appearance. I think in that environment, Halloween night, I think he's going to be pumped up. I would definitely take Bryce, just taking the odds there as far as Bryce.
Okay, and then also lefty sluggers, Kyle Tucker or Schwarber? Who do you think's going to have the bigger game tonight?
Tucker hasn't been like crazy good throughout the postseason. He had that incredible game 1 with the couple homers. What did he do in game 2? I'm trying to think. He didn't do anything special in game 2. I don't think. I think Schwarber. I think Philly's offense is gonna break out again tonight and do well. Valdez shut him down with that nasty fastball curveball. He has one of the best curveballs. McCullers he doesn't have the power with the fastball like Valdez does, and I just think, again, being home in Philly, I think I would give the edge to the Philly guys tonight.
All right, and then talking about Framber's nasty curveball, did you see the videos that were circulating on Twitter?
I saw one about him touching his hands or whatever. What were they claiming it was?
They were just claiming that, the Astros are cheating again. Do you think there's any merit to that? I mean, they're getting checked almost after every inning. So do you think that was just something?
No, I think it's a wild goose chase.
Similar to the buzzer,
even like pitchers still use something for a better grip on the ball, like most of them do. And again, it's not going to change the outcome of the game. I don't think so. It's again, if everyone else is doing it and they're checking them after all the innings. No, it's just people trying to find something because the Astros are so hated among everyone that isn't an Astros fans. I think it's just a wild goose chase.
All right, and then a new segment that I'm starting this week.
Okay.
Right? Switching back to football.
Okay.
This segment's called "That's Not It, Chief."
Okay.
Right? That's not it.
Okay.
I want to hear from you. Now, this hurts me to my core because I am a proud owner of Cooper Kupp in 3 different fantasy football leagues. Okay? They were down 3 scores. And in the final 2 minutes of the game, that man rolled his ankle, got a high ankle sprain. And even McVay came out and said he's kicking himself for leaving his star out there in the final 2 minutes of the game. They had no chance of winning. That's not it, Chief. Okay? Get him out of there. I don't care about my final 2 fantasy points. My fantasy team's good enough to win by more than 2 points. Okay? Get him out of there. Alright? I'm sick and tired of seeing stars get hurt in the NFL for no reason.
Dude, I was watching the highlights of the Cowboy game earlier, and Dak was still in the game, and they're by 3 touchdowns with like 3 minutes left. I'm like, dude, he's been out for 5 weeks with a thumb injury, and you still have him in the game when the game's over. I think it's ridiculous when the game is clearly over why you would not pull out your best players and star players to preserve them. Because in football, I mean, just you fall weird, you get hit, whatever. There's so many chances every play for you to get hurt. I don't understand why, when the game is basically over, you're not trying to win anymore, you've accepted you've lost, or the other team's accepted defeat, and you know you're going to win, why you would still have your star players out there, it just seems asinine to me. So that ain't it, Chief.
That is not it. And not to mention, they have 17 games now, right? It's a 17-game season.
Yeah.
So take him out. Let him rest. Just like they're doing with Zeke, right? Zeke is a little banged up. Let him rest.
Yeah.
Okay? No reason to leave them out there. We're not playing hero ball here, all right? I don't know. I don't see the upside in it.
There isn't. It's just I literally, maybe it's the players that they don't want to come out or something, but it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
So that was the segment?
That's all I have. That's not it, Chief. Every day I'm going to come at you with one, that's not it, Chief.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I want to add one more.
Wait, are you asking Is this it, Chief, or this ain't it?
No,
Chief?
I'm just ranting
Oh,
because
okay.
that's not it, Chief.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Now, I was gonna do one a day, but you know what? It's the first time I'm doing this segment, and I just saw something so ridiculous on Twitter today
Okay.
that I have to bring it up.
All right.
LeBron James
Okay.
and his Lakers
yeah.
finally won. And they throw a party in the locker room. I don't give a shit.
Wait, hold on. Before we get into the topic, we're gonna play the video for y'all and show y'all what it is.
Yeah.
All right, that was the shit that they pulled in the locker room there.
Bro. LeBron James. Cut the shit. Okay? It's time to cut the shit, as Kevin Hart would say. Okay? You're celebrating, you're laughing about being 1-5. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know how much money they're getting paid? You know the fan base they have to perform
You know what
for?
this reminds me of? You ranting like this. Do you remember? Did you ever see the clip where Kobe went on? I think it was Jimmy Kimmel's show. It was when he was
and they were
out.
so
He was
horrendous.
out for the whole season with an Achilles tear or something, and they went like 15-65 or something. And so he wasn't there for the last couple of games, and they had just finished like, I don't know, a 10 or 15 game losing streak. They won. And guys are throwing a party, and they're like 30 games below 500. And Jimmy Kimmel shows him the video, and Kobe's just looking at him like, what the fuck are these guys doing? He was so pissed. This is exactly, I feel like, the same scenario. But LeBron is just... LeBron literally, I feel like, just doesn't give a shit anymore. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's just trying to play long enough to play with his kid.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just, I mean, Lakers are a disgrace.
Yeah.
Now, it makes me happy, because fuck them. Because fuck them, that's why.
But, yeah, I mean, come on. Do you think the owners are laughing? You think they're laughing like, oh, look at the hundreds of $1 million I just blew on this sorry-ass team?
Yeah.
No.
I actually want to know, want to find out, like, as far as, like, the seats they're selling, if they're still selling out and still, like, making the same amount of money. Because, I mean, in LA, like, people don't go to the games because they really care that much, I think, about them winning.
You
it's
look
just,
at the Angels.
in LA, they just go to fucking go.
Angels, Dodgers, Lakers. If they're losing, they leave.
Mm-hmm.
They have better things to do. You know, it's that fast-paced way of life. So, you know, it's not something to joke about. I mean, I get it. Ha-ha, we won. Move on.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's not time to throw a Gatorade bath.
Do you think they win 30 games this year?
No. I think they're pushing. I think they might push 40. You know, I think.
Really, I don't think they're gonna be close to 500.
Here's what I think's gonna happen, because it's a LeBron team. I talked about this already. Coach gonna get fired. Players gonna get traded. Westbrook's gonna get traded.
No, Westbrook's not gonna trade. No one's gonna take his contract. No one wants to
might get cut.
Bro, yeah, no one wants to pay
know.
$50 million to a dude who shoots over 11 and thinks he played good.
Anthony Davis might get traded. I don't know. I think there's nothing off limits right now, or they just pack it in. There's one of the two options. They're either making a massive overhaul at the trade deadline, or they're packing it in. We'll see.
Well, they shouldn't even wait. They should be making moves now.
Yeah.
There's no reason to wait. If they're not starting to make moves, like if they're still losing like 2 weeks from now, and that they go to like, if they're like 3-12 or 4-15 or some crazy horrible record like that, and they're still keeping the same roster, I think it's safe to say that they're just like, screw it, this season's over. We're not going to do anything, because if they wait till the deadline to try to make some final moves, that's not going to cut it. So,
yeah.
All right.
That's
it for today.
That's it for my segments.
All right.
All right.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Catch y'all next time.